Welcome back to Insights in Tech. My name is Shira Rubinoff, and my first guest back is my brilliant colleague and friend, Tom Kellermann, Head of Cybersecurity Strategy at VMware. Tom, nice to speak to you again.
It's a pleasure. Good to see you.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk about Elon Musk buying Twitter. Buying it for about $44 billion, and he's going to take the company private. And in his initial comments about the move, he discussed a range of goals from making algorithms open source to increase trust, to addressing the spam bots and authenticating all humans. So now privacy and security professionals have said that these initial comments, they paint a bit of a mixed picture of where Twitter could be headed under its new leadership. And that reveals the risk of trusting platforms to protect private information. So just to give a little more color on that, unlike Facebook and other platforms that have enforced real name policies, Twitter has pretty much allowed people to use pseudonyms or remain anonymous, an approach that could change under the new leadership. And additionally, Musk will soon be able to access all Twitter user data, including IP addresses and the content of the direct messages. And Twitter's DMs are notably not end-to-end encrypted, meaning that they can be accessed by whoever controls the platform. And end-to-end encryption has long emphasized that protection not only safeguards users' data from anyone out there, but puts the power with the users for the long term, regardless of who owns the service and when. So Tom, can you please paint some color around this new takeover and what that really means from a cybersecurity professional, what some of the risks are when it comes to security, and what we have to worry about even when it comes to identity?
Yeah, as a Twitter user, I'm considering getting off the platform, frankly. However, the utility of the platform for me primarily is the information sharing of the cybersecurity community vis-a-vis telemetry of threat actors and phenomenon, which is incredibly useful. From a privacy perspective, I think this is terrible. Even him sharing the algorithms could be highly problematic for nation state actors to use those algorithms themselves or manipulate those algorithms vis-a-vis the APIs to weaponize Twitter itself. And the construct of Twitter actually launching destructive attacks or ransomware against select groups, select entities who have been validated by Twitter is very concerning to me. Compounding that is the disinformation, information warfare potential of significance through that verification process. And it's quite obvious by taking the company private, he wants less scrutiny into the inner workings of the organization. If he shares the algorithms, I would just hope that he shares them very selectively, for example, with the FCC and the FTC, to ensure that not only the algorithms can be secured in the future, but more importantly, that they can't be misused or abused.
But what about also the piece of this untrusted trust? You know, somebody become authenticated and how they can be authenticated now and be, let's call it a trusted source, where you have that little blue check mark, all of a sudden they're trusted. You're trusted across the board. It's different validation than somebody who isn't. And under this new leadership on how they're going to take this forward, where do you think that could have a pitfall of a security problem?
Well, I mean, there's challenges right now therein, but I guess the implicit trust that will be garnered because of this new, essentially, policy. Yes, it's highly problematic also with the lack of security and that the account itself could get hijacked and then you're still believing the implicit veracity of the account and obviously the tone of the speaker or the person who's communicating. Twitter's also going to be in the crosshairs of nation states now more so than ever because he's in charge and everyone knows the pride comes before the fall. And I really think that this is he should listen to the community. He should listen specifically to the cybersecurity and privacy community first, as it relates to some of his initiatives now. But the number one threat from a cybersecurity perspective is really that sharing of the algorithms and the nature in which Twitter could be hijacked to push destructive attacks against select groups or personas because you've verified who they are and you know their IP address now.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe let's move over to just the person of influence and how just one comment can change just the nature of what is going on in our ecosystem, we've seen it happen with just one tweet. Now think about the person owning that platform and almost controlling the flow, or not controlling the flow, but having the access, the data, and the voice where it affects what can be happening, whether it being in business, insecurity, and just in the world itself. How is that even a bigger problem that we're facing right now?
Well, it goes to the number one question that we're all asking ourselves. Will those people who have been destructive with their comments, who have been banned from the platform, be allowed back on because he believes in free speech? Um, I think the regulators need to take a hard look at Twitter and identify it as a quasi media company if he's going to go through this verification process and he's going to believe in the free speech of the platform. But nonetheless, Twitter has always been haphazard in terms of the utility, the integrity of the information being shared, the integrity of the persons that involve themselves with Twitter. And I'm just concerned, frankly, in general, that this will really open the door for Twitter to have more dark passengers.
No, that's an important piece. Well, we look at the other social media platforms. Do you think any of them could take a lesson now of what they can do to actually open it up for the others in terms of communication of social media and tighten up some level of security to give the people or the companies or the businesses or the leadership that platform where they can feel secure and safe and conduct business in a way that they feel that is the right way to do things and not feel that they're opening themselves up for problems?
This is a huge opportunity for LinkedIn slash Microsoft here. And I think they should take the bull by the horns and take advantage of the moment in time.
Interesting. Well, anything else you'd like to share with our audience around cybersecurity as a whole? You're a leader in the community when it comes to cybersecurity. A lot of problems out there and a lot of things we're facing. Certainly, we're going into the hybrid workforce of work from home and now back to work. A lot of holes in security. Anything you want to leave our viewers with and things that they can do themselves as individuals, as well as what companies can do?
Yeah, let's remember that every year I write the Modern Bank Heist report, and this year's findings were quite troubling. There's been a 58% increase of island hopping, where the digital transformation of organizations were hijacked and then used to attack their constituencies. That's exactly what I'm referencing. Worst case scenario for Twitter. You're seeing 94% of banks being impacted by API attacks, and so more often than not, APIs are being attacked, but folks have limited visibility to the security of those APIs, and we need to pay much closer attention to that. And then Chronos attacks are surging, or attacks against time or the integrity of time. And this really goes to the construct of integrity attacks in general and destructive attacks. From an individual's perspective, you really should not have administrative rights for your own user profile when going online, number one. That limits the capacity of the adversary to do damage to you if they get inside your machine. If you have the potential to use a virtual machine that you can burn down every day, do it. Don't click on links. Obviously, definitely use robust passwords. Update your operating system every day. Check for updates every day for applications and operating systems, etc. Definitely back up your software and capabilities. Google's got some great new security features in Chrome that you should be deploying and utilizing, same as multi-factor authentication. And if you have a Mac, come on now, they're not bulletproof. You have to deploy cybersecurity software on that Mac, and you should be running those scans on a regular basis. And remember one final point here. If your device identifies something malicious and contains it or cleans it or quarantines it, realize that that thing has just stolen all of your passwords across the board. So now you have to manually go and change all of those, which is problematic but necessary because all the keys to your house are gone. And then final point, please check Siri's settings. She's always listening and she shouldn't be. And in addition to that, your device with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned on all the time makes you susceptible to RF attacks, and also allows for your device to target other infrastructure in your home. So there's no reason why you should have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned on all the time. If you need to use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, it literally takes 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds to turn it on.
Now, those are excellent points and tips. Thank you very much, Tom. Great to speak to you again. Great highlights about Twitter and great tips on how we can be more cyber secure, us personally and with businesses. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Shira. Always good.